well, welcome back. It's On Occasion with Chris and Canaan.
I'm Chris Jones with So and Clover Photography.
Yes, he is. And I'm Canaan with Details Nashville. And we're back, baby. Hey, cheers.
Hey, cheers.
We're doing it again.
We're going for it.
It's episode, whichever one this is.
How are you feeling today?
I feel good right now. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I had a good morning. Woke up good. Woke up to a pile of children on me. Which some people would probably, I don't know if that's
no. I mean, it's nice unless they're like overheating, which is a thing, I guess.
And that's a
kids.
real thing. Yeah, but it was good. What about you?
Good. I feel good. I had to go back and look at, even though we've only done 2 podcasts so far, I had to remember like what shirts I've already worn.
Oh yeah.
And then I put this one on, which I'm a little uncomfortable with because I feel like it makes me look like I feel like I'm going to like change out air filters right now in a basement at a bank.
Oh, I feel like these Oxford shirts are in.
Okay. I got it at a consignment shop, which
is also
is the only place that married men go to. Single men have never been to a consignment shop. You know?
Was it Goodwill or was it a different consignment shop?
No, it was a consignment shop.
It was an actual consignment shop.
Yeah, right.
Got it.
So
do you think there's a difference in quality?
My wife just told me to go because it was a sale. Yeah,
nice.
That's it. But yeah, we worked out.
Nice. So. I got this when I was in Hawaii.
Yeah, at a consignment shop.
No,
just in Hawaii.
Little boutique.
Yeah,
there.
right.
Not. Right. I mean, I get maybe they're consigning. I don't know.
Well, what do you want to talk about?
What are we talking about today? Today we've got some fun stuff going on. All right, so today we want to talk about, from a photographer's side of things, a second photographer.
Yeah, how they're helpful.
Yeah,
why to have them?
Exactly.
Maybe when to not have them.
When to not have them. That might be. Yeah, that's something to talk about. Got some stories, and we're just going to sort of jump right into it. I think we could start with, like whether or not we have a second photographer always, or if it's like part of the package.
There's a distinction between So and Clover and Details.
Yeah. Do you want to start? You want me
sure.
To
well, So and Clover, when I first started shooting, my mentor was like, you should be able to photograph weddings by yourself. And over time, I really dialed in that, there are certain parameters. If those are met, I'm very happy to shoot by myself. Mm-hmm. But I always tell couples, like, if there's a budget for it, you should just have a second photographer because, it's just, second eye to the day, more candid photos. There's a long list we could get into. But for me, if people are willing to do a first look, if there's less than like 100, 125 guests, and things are all happening at one location, we're not driving around from like hotel getting ready to ceremony at church and then reception hall over here. Then if it's all one location, then I'm pretty happy to do it by myself. Yeah.
Was there a reason he said like why he was like what
just his mentor kind of told him you should be able to photograph a wedding by yourself? So maybe it's just the ritual of
carrying on what you learned to the next guy. Okay.
Right. So, but
nice.
It's always fun having a second photographer.
Yeah.
Until the moments, there's a few moments it's not been, but.
Which we'll get into. Which we'll get into this. Details always has a second photographer. So when we started, one of the things we had talked about was like, how can we sort of create a different experience, like right out the gate? And one of the things we thought about was just having a second photographer with all of our packages. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if someone wants to customize and it's a really stripped down wedding and there's simply no need for another body there, then we're fine to like not have one. Yeah. But like, we always it's always included. And there's a lot of our weddings though have like, there's multiple locations, like groom and groomsmen are getting ready in one spot, bride and bridesmaids are getting ready somewhere else.
Super helpful in that moment.
And so like having 2 photographers is just easy to be like, okay, you're hanging out with the guys, I'm going with the ladies, we're split up, we meet at the ceremony location or a formal location, wherever we're taking photos, and we'll link back up at some point. But like being able to have someone there to help with those logistics is a game changer.
Yeah.
As opposed to like one person who, you can manage, but like on a wedding day, like I don't want to manage. I want to like, if I can create enough space and cover the bases enough that it's like we're creating as relaxed an experience as possible for our couples.
Oh,
where it's like not one photographer just like scrambling all day. Like it makes, both photographers be able to just be like, you're calm.
Yeah,
everything's covered.
And when it is just me, I don't think I'm putting out a lot of anxiety. But there is the like missed opportunities when I'm going back and forth between the bridesmaids, getting ready, groomsmen. There's all the little moments that I'm just missing because of transitions.
Yeah, so like those little moments, but then also just like the ability, I think, to feel creative. Like you're not stressed, having to focus on the timeline as much. Like there's space then to be like, okay, now I can really consider this shot. which I really like.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's like, why we always include it. So it's just built into our packages price wise too. So like for other photographers who are like, well, how do you do that cost effectively? We just build it into the package.
Right.
Whatever we pay our second photographer, built into that price point.
Yeah. I one rule where like it's always different is I'm traveling out of town. I just always want to take somebody with me because I don't know, I want to travel alone. It's just more fun to bring a buddy.
And if like something happens, like we've had,
like if I like have a heart attack while I'm driving the car,
a heart attack if you're driving the car, or like we've had a situation I remember where I had to have a second photographer like take care of a flat tire situation, and I had to Uber to an event. This wasn't a wedding.
I had the same where I had a battery die on the way to a rehearsal dinner, and I was like, "Hey, Parker, you're gonna figure this out. I gotta go to the rehearsal dinner."
Yeah,
yeah.
And
then he
like having a
bought
second
me
person.
like the. For my little mid-market car, he bought me like the best battery you could buy for any car, and I'm probably set now for
this
life.
happened with us at the Merson shoot.
Oh,
where
my
your car died,
alternator belt or something.
Yeah, something. So you dropped me off at the event. I shot it.
Yeah, and I got paid
you went to the mechanic,
sit in like a coffee shop, eat pizza or something.
That was nice.
That was a good day.
It was good, and it was fine. But like having two shooters, like the client had no idea. They were totally fine. Product delivery.
I showed up at the end, ate some cake. And
you did. You showed up. We hung out with the planners for a while. You ate some cake. And it worked out real nice.
Yeah.
So second shooter is real helpful.
Yeah.
There.
Any moments for you having a second photographer where you were like, well, that didn't work out the best?
Yeah. Yeah. I shot a wedding a few years ago. Gosh, this I can't remember. I'm fuzzy on the year now with this wedding, but had a shoot. And the logistics of this wedding were crazy. So one of those weddings where I really needed a solid second shooter. This second shooter turned out not to be the best. Like their work is fine, but not the most helpful on the wedding day. So we get to the ceremony and everything's happened. Basically, everything went fine up until reception. We get to the reception. I'm trying to deal with a situation with the bride and the groom. Second shooter is nowhere to be seen. I lose the second shooter for almost 2 hours, like a legit solid 2 hours.
Yeah, I lost
the
second shooter overnight once. The violinist took him home.
We'll get into that one. But yeah, so second shooter disappears for no response to texts. We're at the reception. Surely this person is somewhere. Can't find them. Later on, like after everything's done, it's just pretty much like dancing now. This person shows back up, double fisting drinks with a posse of guys now. He's like made a bunch of friends.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. This sounds right.
He's no longer a part of my crew. He's now a guest at the reception.
Yes.
And I'm like, where the hell have you been? And he's like, I met this person at the bar. I had a couple of drinks. We were out on the balcony. We went through it was like an art thing. And so they were like, we went and looked at the art. Met all these guys. And I'm like, you've been gone for 2 hours. What the hell? And he's like, he didn't get it at all. Like he had no clue.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know.
Time of his life.
I don't understand what the issue is. I'm having a fantastic time. Meanwhile, I'm like dealing with like a crisis with a dog and we like lost all the time for formals and I was dealing with a mess. So that was like one time where I'm like, this is not a second shooter that I will ever use again. Yeah. Bad situation. You? What about you?
Yeah, I have plenty of stories there, I guess. Honestly, my favorite second shooter of all time. Like, I genuinely think he's a better artist than me. He just, he wouldn't. At least at that season of his life, he didn't have the ability to like run his own business, so he would shoot with me.
Which side note, real quick, that is something to talk about. Is like when your second shooter is like doesn't want to like be a lead or like run a business, but creatively they're just.
It worked out great for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I have a second shooter right now that I feel that way about where I'm like, I really like it. Yeah. Anyway.
So he just super talented dude, always gave me like just stellar shots, I could use for blogs or whatever. But and his personal life for the most part didn't really affect the business life, except for the one time he went home with a Bulgarian violinist and I lost him overnight at a town wedding. But
man.
Yeah, and then he was an attractive man, so he'd show up at weddings and the bridesmaids be hitting on him. I'm like, hey, we're here to work,
Right.
But anyways, I had some issues in his life kind of presented where I was like, I don't know if we can keep working together anymore. And it kind of culminated. God, he's such a nice dude. But it culminated with one time some friends called me and they couldn't find him. And
Wait, is this after a wedding or before a wedding?
No, this is outside of a wedding.
Okay, outside of a wedding. Got it.
They knew I cared about him a lot, and they couldn't find him, so they're like, "Hey, can you try to track him down?" So I call him, and I think he was on some drugs at the moment, and he was like, "Yeah, man, just follow the cars, you'll find me." And so I was like,
"What?
Maybe send me an address or something." Anyways, I go find him, and he's a little out of it, playing guitar, just hanging out in his driveway. And I was like, "Should we go find your parents, man?" He's like, "Yeah, let's go find my parents. Why not?" And so we hop in the car. We're driving to find his parents. I remember he was like, just
out of it.
Yeah, just talking. And I think my mom at the time had given me this little cute box of like Valentine's chocolates. So he like found them in like my car, and he opens the box. He's like, "Can I have a chocolate?" And I think maybe I was holding him. I was like, "Yeah, you can have a chocolate." And he like hits my hand. The chocolates go flying throughout my car. We finally get to his parents' house, and his parents knew he had been working with me for years.
Yeah.
And we get there, his like dad's a lawyer, like very prestigious family. And when he introduces me, he's just talking. He's like, hey, mom, dad, this is Chris. He's my gay lover, my cocaine dealer. He's my friend. And he just won't stop talking.
What?
But he won't stop talking long enough for me to be like, well, we're not lovers. I've never given him cocaine. And the next thing I know, we're all eating Chinese food together at some restaurant and trying to, just simmer down the moment.
All right. So how do the parents respond when they're like, "This is my gay lover, and he sells me cocaine, and we listen to Fleetwood Mac together"? And
they were pretty receptive.
Yeah,
I didn't feel judged.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you think that's because they were like, "Yeah, this checks out. His is pretty consistent with him"? Or
I think it could have gone either way for them. It could be like, this doesn't make any sense at all. Or it could be like, we know. We know. It's fine.
We've known since you were 14. It's all right. Got it. Yeah.
So
okay.
Anyways, at a wedding, can I tell a story from
I
want
to. Well, also, I mean, I feel like there's more to tell about the Bulgarian violinist as well.
Really, it's just we were at an out-of-town wedding, and then the wedding ended, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to hang out with this woman for a minute. Is that cool?" And then I didn't see him till the next day, and I was like, "What happened?" He was like, "Bulgarian violinist," and that was it. I didn't ask any questions.
That's what that was like.
All I needed.
She took me home and serenaded me. It was fantastic.
And I just went back to the hotel room and ate pizza by myself.
Did you feel lonely and left out at that point? Or
well, not left out, but lonely.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I didn't necessarily mean left out as in like not included in that specific situation, but like
right.
Socially.
This is a whole other podcast we can go down now. Other memories that I'm having, but
right. Yeah.
Anyways.
Right. Okay. So Bulgarian violinist was a thing, and but at least he showed up the next morning. You didn't have to track him down.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd like to think maybe there's a season in life where I'll work with him again.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Have you talked to him recently?
I haven't talked in a while. That's kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? A fault of mine. Sometimes
not keeping up.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Like I've been a groomsman like 20 times. I was a best man once in a person's wedding I don't talk to anymore. And I feel terrible about that.
I don't think you should feel. I don't know if you have to feel terrible about
just
that.
Time and space,
I mean, I've shot weddings where they like practically rented a best man. So.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen those weddings.
That's like
the best man who's like, "Hey, remember that time we were in Vegas and we slept with those prostitutes?" Like in the best man speech.
Yeah.
I don't know if he should be your best man.
Yeah, that was not. But then the mom starts crying and. The sister's like hiding her face because she was there too.
I've known Jake for 6 months. I'm so thankful to be up here as your best man. We're going to be friends for life.
Or the dad gets up there and says something unhinged. And you're like, you shouldn't be up there right now.
Yeah. Oh, that best man. Never mind. I shouldn't say where, but that best man, that wedding we shot, he was like, "It should have been me."
Oh my God.
It should have been me.
Right, so I'm looking at the camera now. This is a real story. Story. We're shooting this wedding, and this best man he was kind of weird all day, like saying weird stuff about like
friendly enough, just a little insecure.
Friendly enough, yeah, but like insecure stuff about his relationship with the groom and the bride.
Yeah.
Comes to the speech, and I don't know if he just had enough drinks that he was like, "Well, now I'm going to be honest," and all of a sudden he starts telling the whole room that essentially it shouldn't have been the groom. It should have been him.
Yeah. And people just let him keep talking.
And he's going to spend his whole life in agony because he didn't tell the bride about it.
Which he did I think he ended up getting married to somebody else. I mean,
I think at that point, like, I think he was in his feels.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone's ever really, maybe someone's going to live in agony their whole life if they're like, I didn't tell her.
Yeah.
I feel like most dudes are going to get over it and move on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But that's a real thing. Yeah. Like, dude got up and committed his love to a married woman in front of his best friend. It was like,
and they were kind enough to like, I think they were all friends afterwards.
No one shamed them. They were all like, hey, man, it was a little weird.
Yeah.
But, hey, let's go sit down for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of, what's that holiday movie? Where
Christmas Vacation.
No,
Elf.
It's like one of those British holiday movies where basically the guy like shows up at the door with the big note cards and he like plays carolers and he like commits his love to this.
Yeah. Sounds like Notting Hill, but I don't think it is.
It's not Notting Hill. I can't think of it. Anyway, it was essentially like that. Like that's what happened, where it was like, I'm gonna spend my whole life regretting that we're not married.
Right.
And yeah, it was weird.
Oh man, brain just going places.
Go for it, man. Let's hear it.
Let me just. We're not talking about best men here, but we are. One more. My favorite best man speech ever that sticks out was this wedding where the couple were from New York City. He's a cop and she's a gynecologist.
Is this a punchline joke? Is this like a joke?
Yeah. Well, the brother was. Well, no, this is real.
Oh, okay, this sounded like a setup for a joke.
He really is a cop in New York City, and she's a gynecologist in New York City. Okay. And the brother of the groom gave the best man speech, and at some point he threw out there, he's like, "We just respect you all because I can't think of his name right now, but he was like, you're out there cleaning the streets, and she's out there cleaning," and then he just stopped. It was pretty brilliant. We all get where we're going here. We're adults in this room.
How did people respond?
Dude, people loved it. Nice. It was so good.
Isn't that great? Like I love when, cause maybe your weddings are a little different. I feel like most of the speeches at my weddings are not good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's rough
just
when
not
it's
impressive.
a bad one,
Yeah. And you're just like, and it could be anybody. Like it could be the dad getting up there and you're like, this is your daughter. Why are you so bad at this? Or like, this is your best friend, but you're just like, well, I hope you have a great life. And you were always there for me. And I was always there for you. And we were always there for each other. And I love you a lot. You're like, wow. Well, okay.
They sound committed. That's
30
nice.
years of friendship, and that's all we got. Yeah. No problem. It's all right.
Okay. Second photographers. Let me just throw out there why they're important.
Let's do it.
Let's just go list it. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, cocktail hour. If you don't have a second photographer, who's documenting cocktail hour? It's not getting documented. All the details.
All those pretty couples.
Pretty
chance
spaces.
To sell another
hors d'oeuvres,
wedding.
Who's photographing those hors d'oeuvres? Nobody.
No one.
A
content creator.
Content creator? Oh, they would be getting
the food.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
But they're
okay. I think we've said some things already. Let's see. You get more candidates for the day. For me as a primary photographer.
This is a good.
Well, for me as a primary photographer, I'm like, okay, I want to work from the inside of the onion out, right? So I'm like focused on couple, bridal party, parents, family, extended family, and then guests as they come and go.
Yeah.
And so when I have a second photographer, I'm like, and you've experienced this when you've shot with me some. It's like, dude, sometimes I'm like, you don't have any responsibilities. Just have fun.
Can I tell them my story of like working with you for the first time?
You out. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we're just like, we approach weddings very differently. Like I'm very relaxed. You are like honed in, keyed in.
I'm stressed inside, but not on the outside. You think I'm stressed on the outside?
It comes out. Not the whole time.
But
you're not manic.
You don't think I'm stressing out?
No.
Clients?
No, not at all.
Right.
Not at all. I'm saying I'm like pretty just like, we got it. It's gonna be fine. And you're like, you're key. I would describe it as like you're keyed in. Like
I want to make the most of it.
You are dialed in the whole day. Like you're like you don't eat, you don't drink, like you don't stop. Whereas like I'm like, no, we got 15 minutes. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I have to go to the bathroom like 8 times in the middle of the night, not exaggerating, and then I can go 12 hours at a wedding.
Not go to the bathroom once. Yeah,
it just drives me crazy.
Seen it. I love it.
Which time? The night of the wedding.
You go and pee 8 times a night?
Yeah,
well, I haven't experienced that with you personally.
All right, keep going. First wedding you shot with.
First wedding I shot with you was here in Nashville, and I'm like, oh, you were shooting details. This is the moment. So I'm like hanging out. I'm like, wow, we're gonna shoot some getting ready stuff together. It's gonna be real fun. And I'm kind of like standing next to you as you're like getting details ready for the flat lay, and all of a sudden you like stop, and you like look up at me, and you go,
what are you doing?
Can you go somewhere? I'm like, where do you want me to go? And you literally go, anywhere else.
Yeah. Like we came here together and we're going to leave together. But between now and then, why are you beside me?
I was like, I thought we were hanging out. This is going to be fun. You're like, get away from me
I'm
right
here.
now.
I'm here photographing this.
Yeah.
You photograph anything else.
I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, so like stunned. I didn't know it. I was like, so I think I just like went and stood in the kitchen by one of the aunties, and I was like, I'm just gonna stand here for a while.
Well, maybe that's what happened to Matt Parker when he shot that wedding with me.
Oh, you got to tell this story.
Yeah. So
here we go.
I'll use his name. I'm not afraid.
Yeah, we can talk
Matt
about Parker.
Second shooter with me. We shot this wedding in Atlanta. It was oh gosh. Well,
it's okay. Going. It's just mango.
It's we shot this wedding, Vietnamese wedding, and the bride was getting ready in her house, our parents' house. So we're in there. It's there's a lot of commotion. There's going to be a ceremonial tea party. There's all sorts of baked goods laid down on the table. I'm photographing the bride getting ready, and I haven't seen Parker in a while. And I come downstairs, and he's in the kitchen, sitting at the kitchen table by himself. No one else is at the kitchen table, and he's just sitting there, just eating some snacks, And I'm like, "What are you doing, bro?" He's like, "Well, the mom of the bride told me to sit down." I was like, "What? But you're working." He's like, "Well, she told me to sit down. That's hospitable." So I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I leave the room and I come back, and now the uncle of the bride is taking photos on his iPad, because that's what large iPad of Parker with his daughter, and Parker with his wife, and like all day Parker's now like part of the family.
Right.
We get to the formal family time, and like the uncle wants Parker in the formal family photos. I'm like, this is my photographer. He's not your son. So which I really love that about Parker, is like networking skills, and but it was just funny because I'm like, you're here to work, bro. You're not going out and partying with the family after, or maybe he is.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like that's like a gift of a good second shooter sometimes, where you're like, because like sometimes you don't need their photos, but like if they're there and they're just really socially gifted, and they're able to make friends with the parents, like there's so much they can do socially to like relieve stress on the family just by knowing that, like, oh, these are good people. They're taking care of my daughter and their fiance, like whoever is getting married. And it can like really just put them at ease. Like there's a real gift in that second photographer's social ability. Like I think there's like two camps. Like you either need your second shooter who's like super talented, introverted, like their work's going to be incredible, or like I don't really need their photos, but they're so gifted socially. I know they're going to like
just creating the moment.
Amplify whatever situation they're in, regardless of like whether or not they're taking a shot.
Yeah, sometimes I'll like see a photo in my brain at a wedding that I want to create, but it's like involving somebody laughing, and I'll just be like, Parker, can you just go make that person laugh? Yeah. And I'll be across the room, and like he'll kind of be out of the frame and say something dumb, and
that's great.
Use them how I can.
That's the best. So. I do think that with shooting those cultural weddings, that those things can happen more often. I've shot. We're like. I've worked with her multiple times now. A bride of mine, Laotian family, and the groom was Filipino, so it was like this clash of worlds. Real big wedding, huge wedding when we first shot it. But like similar, I had two shooters with me that night, and then I ended up like just making friends with all of the aunties and the grandmas, and they just kept bringing me food throughout the reception, and then they all had like. Everyone had bottles of Hennessy. Like, this was cool. So, like, the way it worked was the grandmas all controlled the Hennessy bottles, and they had, like, these stacks of, like, little cups. And so they would, like, hand out the shots at the reception.
Like the grandmothers?
Yeah, the grandmothers were doing this.
Okay.
And I was, like, real confused by it at first. But then what ended up happening is, like, you'd see someone get too drunk. And because the grandmas were controlling the flow of alcohol,
they'd
cut it off, and no one is going to disrespect
Do you
grandma.
think those grandmas are for hire? Like, could we sell them?
Sell
packages?
Yeah. We're like the grandmas are like that same deal. I think so. I thought it was genius because like as soon as a grandma was like, "No, you're done," everyone was like,
"Yeah,
I'm
you
done.
Gotta respect.
I'm done for the night."
Right.
And I was like, that is a great way to control people's consumption of alcohol. It was fantastic. But they kept doing it to me, and they wouldn't cut me off. And so by the end of that wedding, I think I ate about 6 pounds of razor clams, which were delicious because they just kept bringing them to me. They're like, "Oh, you like those?" And I was like, "These are incredible." I was like, "Yeah, please." And they just kept bringing it to me. And then they just also kept bringing me Hennessy. So I was like,
I do love Hennessy.
Yeah, it was a lot.
My airport drink.
Is it your airport drink?
Yeah, if I'm at the airport, I want
That's
Hennessy.
Nice.
It's the only time I ever drink it, but yeah.
Is there like a level of Hennessy where you're like this one, or just like the
No,
stock
I think it's
traditional
because
Hennessy?
for a while I photographed Moet Hennessy at airports. Like they'd fly me around to different airports and I photographed
You
their
did do
displays
that.
at
It's a
duty
cool
free.
gig.
It was a cool gig. I don't know what happened. It just dried up. I guess. But
yeah.
now when I go to airports, I'm like, I just want a little Hennessy.
Do you ever see your old photos, or is it like moved on pretty fast?
You know, I think they were internal photos. I think them used them like just internal in the company to kind of show their marketing.
Oh yeah. Okay, fair enough.
What else are we leaving out about second photography?
Well, let me look at there. Let's see if we missed anything in our notes here. You know, that's why we have notes.
That is why we have notes. Cocktail hour, getting ready. Extra people.
There was that wedding we did where we didn't talk about like whether or not you should have like a female second shooter or a male second shooter, like the different benefits that come with that. One of the things we had talked about previously was, and we can wrap up here soon, about our Browns bread.
Oh gosh, yeah,
that was a lot.
Yeah, I remember that wedding. I was like, where are we going with this? But yeah, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with second shooters. But if you made it this far, you know, here's a good story
it had to do with like
end on.
If we had a female second shooter, we probably just would have been like, hey, you shoot this. We're going to step out real quick. But it was also such a spontaneous situation.
I feel a lot of control, and like I want to be with the bride and bridesmaids because like honestly, those are just the more important photos.
For sure.
The groom
I'm with you.
At least getting ready.
Yeah.
But you know, husband-wife teams, like the wife is probably with the ladies getting ready. And the guys, the husband's probably with the guys.
Right.
Know? But anyways, in this moment, you and I are in a pretty large getting ready area with, I don't know, 15 or 20.
A lot of
There's a lot of women, hair, makeup, bridesmaids. Anyway, so this bride got an intermission there.
Yeah.
I got food allergies, but I'm not willing to deal with it, you know?
Oh, did you have like...
I just had to. Yeah. Anyways, so we're in this getting ready area, and the bride's about to put her wedding dress on, but she's like, hey, before I put my wedding dress on, would you mind taking this other photo of me? And I'm like, sure, I'm here to take photos.
Right.
So she's like, well, my soon-to-be husband really loves the Cleveland Browns, so I've got this Cleveland Browns thong, and I was wondering if you could just take a photo of me in the thong.
Right.
I'm like, I really wanted to kind of just say no, but in the moment, I'm like, I'm here to like, I guess, serve my clients. I don't know.
Which is a funny, like, it's hard to be like, maybe other photographers out there would feel more comfortable being like, absolutely not. This violates something. One,
I didn't feel like it was violating.
It didn't really violate anything.
I was just like, this isn't really a wedding.
I was like,
moment.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm like, how do you say no? It's like, I don't know. It's a weird situation.
Yeah. But anyway, so she just drops everything. Mm-hmm. You know, she had like this little, like, you know, brides always have their robes on. She just drops her robe, doesn't have a top on.
And legit, we did not know that she was already ready to go.
No.
Like with the Cleveland Browns.
Well, did she already have it on, or she put it on?
She had it on.
Oh, she did have it on already?
She just dropped her rope. Like, it was almost like she surprised us that she had planned it out.
Yeah. So she drops it all, and she's just wearing the Cleveland Browns thong.
Right.
It's as thong as you get, you know?
It was very thongish.
Couldn't be any more thongish.
Yeah.
And she's like, could you get a photograph right here?
Yeah, this is where I got.
And I was like, I guess maybe Captain, what's it, Captain Jack, or what's that whiskey or something? Captain Morgan.
Captain Morgan.
Yeah, I was like, well, I guess just maybe put your leg up here on the couch, your foot. And then I was like, and just so we're all correct before I like do anything, shouldn't be doing it. I'm like sweating through my beard, you know, all the bridesmaids were laughing.
I was laughing my ass off. It was really funny.
And I was like, so just to be clear, you want me to photograph this area? Yeah. Right here.
So just so we're clear, he did emphasize this. And when she goes, can you just photograph here? She literally is just like, just here. Like just where the Cleveland Browns.
She had heels on, I think.
She did have heels.
And, you know, I did that. And then I was like, well, do you want me to deliver these photos in like the big gallery with everything else? Or do you want like a side gallery?
Which, like, good on you to have the foresight to ask that question. Because I would not have. I just would have.
You just send that over to the groom's mom.
I have a tendency to get emails being like, hey, we love these photos. They're hilarious. Whatever the photos I'm doing. But there's the my mom can't see these.
Someone who was dancing, their boob came out, and you included that in the gallery.
I did. Well, I didn't. I missed it. I didn't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you wouldn't.
To be fair,
it wasn't like you're like, oh, a boob photo.
I'm just not casting out titty photos in people's galleries. I didn't see it and delivered it, and she was like, "Hey, my dad's gonna see this. Can we get rid of this one?"
Yeah.
But she's also like, "Can you also email it to me?" So we just did that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anyways.
Right.
Well,
Cleveland Browns.
You know, and if you're fortunate enough the day could come where you could hire So in Clover Details Nashville, and maybe we'll both show up. Who knows? You know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we
Those
do
are fun
shoot together
weddings.
quite a bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
those are fun.
Which, I mean, that was a fun wedding. It turned out great.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns, though, were like, I don't know.
It's just not the sports team I would have chosen.
Well, that's like the other thing is like, I don't know what I'm going to skip what I'm about to say, and we're just going to not say.
You want to just
wrap
it up?
I think so.
Okay.
We're going to wrap it up.
Wrap it up. That's
before it gets any more, before we go any further and I get in trouble.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much.
This is it. This is we're wrapping up this episode. Follow us, subscribe, wherever you listen to podcasts, YouTube, Instagram. Apparently the government's canceling TikTok, so we're not sure about that one yet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, everywhere else. Anywhere the government's not controlling it as much as they are TikTok, follow us there.
Okay.
All right. Peace.
Thanks.